This week has been a very exciting week for a lot of Star Wars fans around the world, as we got our very first look at Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker in the form of a teaser trailer, as well as Star Wars: The Mandalorian and the upcoming season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, in this video, I want to go over three big things that I really want to talk about. Number one, of course, being George Lucas responding to the fans during the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace. Number two, something to do with the Rise of Skywalker. And number three, something very intriguing about Star Wars: The Mandalorian. Now, first things first, I want to go over what George Lucas had to say in response to the fans, and it was a very heartwarming moment for a lot of fans today at the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, and this is what George Lucas had to say to the fans. So he states, "It was very hard, the guys over at ILM. I made it impossible for them. We broke a lot of ground from using test equipment, but it was the beginning of digital, and even though we didn't shoot the whole thing digitally, we did shoot part of it. So it was really one of the first digital features, and a big part of that. The fans are always a big part of these films. And obviously, those of you who are here are the fans of Episode 1, and I love each and every one of you." So that's what George Lucas had to say in a video that was actually presented over at Star Wars Celebration today. By the way, today is the last day of Star Wars Celebration. It's been an incredible ride and a great week of excitement for, of course, the Star Wars franchise and what's to come in the future. Second thing that I want to touch on is, of course, the Rise of Skywalker. Now, what's really intriguing about, of course, the characters of Rey, Kylo Ren, Poe Dameron, and Finn is that all four of these characters will be given a specific test in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker that's actually going to be done by J.J. Abrams and, of course, Chris Terrio, who is the co-writer of the movie. So each and every character is going to go through a specific test in this movie, similar to what happened, of course, in past movies. However, it's going to be more intense in Episode 9. So it only makes one wonder what kind of test Poe is going to go through, or Finn, or Rey, or Kylo Ren. These are tests that are going to be done individually, where each and every character, when they are by themselves, they will go through one of them at a certain point in time in the movie. So you can only imagine what J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are really going to do with this film in, of course, you know, the second or the third acts of the movie, which is when these tests are really going to pick up for these characters. Now, the third thing that I do want to actually talk about is how Star Wars: The Mandalorian is actually going to have a loose connection to the sequel trilogy era and answer some of the burning questions to the infancy of the First Order. So we do know that The Mandalorian is going to touch on the remnants of the Empire, right? We do know that this is based in or around 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, as confirmed by writer Jon Favreau himself. And what's really intriguing about all of this is that The Mandalorian is going to have a deep connection, a loose connection, if you will, I should say, to, of course, the sequel trilogy, and will answer some of the questions as to exactly how the First Order got started during its infancy. So the remnants of the Empire have a lot to do with it, and that's going to actually be explained in this film, or should I say in this series. And we're going to get a ton of different new stormtroopers in The Mandalorian, and I think it's going to be a very interesting series that, by the way, starts on November 12th. Another thing about The Mandalorian, in case you guys did not know, is that they're not going to drop all the episodes out in one batch. They're going to drop one episode every week or every other week in order to really kind of, you know, just let everything pretty much grow for the fans, right? Once you watch one episode, you can pretty much get an idea of where things are going for Episode 2. Then a week later, or maybe even 2 weeks later, they'll drop the second episode. That's how they're going to do it on Disney+. Unlike with Netflix, where they drop all the episodes in a batch where you can just watch them all at once, The Mandalorian now, you have to wait for the episode to air 1 week later. So, what do you guys think about George Lucas and his response to the fans? You know, a very heartwarming moment, I gotta say, especially at the end, where he says, so it was really one of the first digital features and a big part of that. The fans are always a big part of these films. That's the truth. And obviously, those of you who are here are the fans of Episode 1, and I love each and every one of you. So that's what George Lucas had to say during the last day of Star Wars Celebration. And on top of all this, guys, what do you think the tests of course, Kylo Ren and Rey will be in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker? And another thing about George Lucas, what I'm really excited about, George, is that he was actually involved lightly in Star Wars Episode 9. You know, both J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, they consulted with George Lucas on exactly how they should handle the story, how they should handle some of the characters, and especially the character of Emperor Palpatine. We do know that George Lucas, originally, during the days of course, the 1990s with the Legends material and all the different comics and the books, he is the one who approved the Dark Empire comic line of Emperor Palpatine coming back to life in the form of a clone. So there's a lot of talk right now that George Lucas actually approved exactly how Emperor Palpatine would come back to life or come back into the equation here in whatever way, shape, or form in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Let me know what you guys think about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.